Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt the Shred Monkey again, and I just wanted to say a few words about something I've been thinking about a lot about lately. Well, you see, I follow a lot of bands, and a lot of different kinds of bands. I listen to a lot of different kinds of music. There's rock, metal, blues, whatever. And I just think I've noticed that there's this very common trend where a band that lasts more than, say, 15, 20 somewhat years, there comes a point where that band, just like any other musician or person, they go through their own evolution. And that's to be expected, honestly. I mean, I mean, how many bands or people do we know of that are exactly the same as they were 25 years ago? It's very few, except for there's always going to be some that don't really go through a whole lot of evolution. There are some that even digress, unfortunately. But what I'm getting at here is the evolution, the development is a very natural course to follow. And, bands are no exception. I'm just going to use the most infamous example, Metallica. Pretty much everybody, I mean, if you don't know about Metallica, you got to be living under a rock somewhere. But basically, everyone knows how in the 80s they were this, hardcore, raise hell, bring the house down kind of thrash metal band, Then the 90s came, they cut their hair and they, became dads and all that, where they started getting a path to start families. And, and people criticize the creative adventures they had during the 90s, which I'll admit, the 90s was not necessarily their greatest in terms of music output, but at the same time, it was part of their evolution. They can't be, you can't bash them for that. I mean, that's just part of being a musician. Excuse me. And I don't know. Look at the guys from, to contrast, look at the guys from AC/DC. They've been playing the same few chords and pentatonic scales for the last, 30, 40 years. I mean, it's just, basically what I'm getting at here is, if a band exists for, a long period of time, let's use 10 years as a mark here. If a band is successful for, after 10 years, they're beating the odds. Most bands, don't make it. It's the fact of the nature of the beast, I should say. It's just, most bands will have troubles and break apart, and just by existing for more than 20 years, a band is beating the odds, So I guess, you can't hate on bands for changing their style. I mean, they're artists. The point of music is to evolve and express, It's like an adventure unto itself. And if you're just going to constantly be doing it at the same way, there's not a whole lot of room for growth there. I mean, if it works for you, that's great. But I think that bands that go through evolution need to not have so much crap thrown at them. It's really sad, actually. I mean, there's this one band I like. They're from Finland, and I'm not going to go name them, but their earlier stuff was, a little bit more raw sounding, and their newer stuff has more of a progressive tilt to it, and it's very technical. A lot of harmonies and melodies, and it sounds good. And to my ears anyway, it sounds like they are a perfect example of evolution and progress and things like that. So I just think that artists, musicians, they need to be allowed by their fans to experiment and explore and evolve, So anyway, that's what I'm saying. To all you fans out there of bands, it's cool that you have found a group that speaks to you, but just remember to let them breathe, let them be artists, and let them expand and grow and evolve. Don't put a mold on them and expect them to conform to it all the time, because ultimately that kills creativity. Anyway, yeah, those are my thoughts on that. Stay cool.